Hello indie game fans, we are very late for the hidden gems of May given that it is almost July already, but I'm sure that you'll understand due to the summer showcases and the Steam sale with a number of awesome indie games not to be missed. Let's begin with Achilles Legends Untold, a top-down Souls-like title which wasn't quite what I was expecting since I thought it was more of a Diablo-like game, but what is here is still interesting if you love deliberate combat. You play as the hero of legend, facing off against enemies both mortal and mythological, with a skill tree and ability unlocks which are pretty fun. The problem however is that it's still in early access and only the prologue and chapter 1 is available right now, so if you're interested, do keep an eye on this.
Achilles, the hero that escaped death itself. A deed even he couldn't manage without help. My help.
We did also get the simultaneous 1.0 and Steam release of Unexplored 2 The Wayfarer's Legacy, a gorgeous action roguelite that has some very impressive tech and ideas. While it looks like your run-of-the-mill top-down action roguelite, it does take place in a persistent node-based overworld where when your character falls in one run, the actions and decisions that you made does have an effect on the world that your next character will experience. It is also not a tight, contained action title like Enter the Gungeon or Hades, but rather, combat is just one part of a greater story, so it's a very different type of game worth a try. When developers nail movement and locomotion in games, it is fairly obvious due to the game feel, where Gibbon Beyond the Trees has absolutely nailed the swinging and grappling movement of the Gibbons, which feels great. It does have an environmentalist theme, with deforestation being the primary threat to these creatures, but it's coupled together with some gorgeous hand-drawn art that this developer is known for, making it one to get. We do see hints of an RTS renaissance in the works, since games like Command & Conquer Remastered and Age of Empires 4 have done very well, with titles like Stormgate in development as well, where another good example is Line War. While it is a military-themed entry like Command & Conquer, it does focus more on the macro rather than micro strategy on the battlefield, where you're maneuvering your troops to outposition your opponents with a skill that would make Supreme Commander proud, and even has almost 4X-like elements in strategic map control, being for fans of the genre. I've been looking forward to Floppy Knights for quite a while, due to the pedigree of this developer, where they have made yet another great game. The incorporation of deck building into a tactics game is a neat idea, and while not terribly complex like Slay the Spire, is a decent introduction to this type of mechanic. It is also not as deep as something like XCOM or Fire Emblem, but overall is a pleasant title worth a play. Dwerve is an action tower defense game where you play as a dwarf, fighting his way through a ruined kingdom, venturing into dungeons to fight trolls and monsters, where I quite like the medieval towers and weapons that you can use, such as a rotating blade, crossbow launchers, spike traps and more, all on a quest to defeat the Witch Queen herself.
The dwarves used to live in the mountain, in great big cities, until they were pushed out. Over time, history became myth.
Dad!
Armed with turrets and traps, adventure into dungeons crawling with bloodthirsty trolls.
I really like the pixel art in this, but did find it to be less tower defense than I would have liked, with a limited number of towers that you can place, although the variety of towers and the tower upgrades did feel pretty good, making this a hidden gem worth checking out.
And monstrous creatures.
Let's kick off the top 3 with Epico, a beekeeping simulation title with a wonderful look, even having multiplayer support, which you can see in this trailer. It is about collecting, breeding, and conserving bees while selling their honey for profits to upgrade your apiary, even having fantasy bees, which have their own special requirements. There are also puzzles in the world and plenty of crafting and upgrades, where this developer is fairly active with the updates, although I don't know if they'll be adding any new features, where a close comparison to this is Slime Rancher, which is a game that I really like. I'm a big fan of Japanese developer Team Ladybug and WSS Playground, so of course Genius gets a special mention, a pixel art horizontal shoot 'em up that looks absolutely fantastic. While it is built around a central mechanic of being able to absorb enemy bullets and to use that energy to upgrade your ship and weapons, the core action and enemy and level variety are enough to keep things interesting. I've been told that this is also on the easier side of things with features like autosaves, but does also have challenge at higher difficulty levels. Another 1.0 release of interest is Source of Madness, a roguelike platformer where you play as an acolyte facing off against eldritch monsters. The art style, while not my personal favourite look, does have a very unnerving, otherworldly quality to it, which, combined with the disgusting squishy sound effects, does really make this quite the experience. I guess the closest comparison that I can make would be Noita, but this game's combat doesn't feel as tight, but it certainly did something interesting which deserves a mention, taking the #1 spot. For more roguelites, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.